Hello and welcome again to Sunday Worship with Aberslary Salvation Army. This week we've got Major Stephen Wilson, who has prepared the sermon for us, and I always have the luxury of listening through it before everybody else, and I found it very challenging, and I'm sure you're going to be challenged by what Steve has to say as well. But we're going to start with a song together. We're going to sing The Church is One Foundation. Then we're going to listen to the message from Steve. Then sing together a final song, I Will Offer Up My Life. And then join in that lovely blessing benediction that we listened to last week. This week it's our chance to actually join in singing that blessing together. So I hope you're blessed and you're challenged by this week's message. The one line that stuck out for me in what Steve said was, the world needs his church. And that's what we are, aren't we? We are the church of God. And if ever there was a time when the world needs God's church, it is now. And that is the challenge to us all, which is why we do need to say to God, we offer up our lives. This is our pledge for this Sunday. So don't just listen, engage and enjoy as we worship together as a body of God's people this Sunday. God bless.
Good morning, or is it good evening, or even good afternoon? You can watch this at any time, and it's great to share this time with you. I was wondering, are you good at describing things? In 10 seconds, do you think you could accurately describe your room to someone else, so they could picture it in their minds, and if they can draw or create, they could create it in some form? What about describing yourself in 10 seconds? Do you think you could do that? Well, some things are easier than others to describe. How about the church in 10 seconds? Do you think you could describe it? Well, Milton Jones, a comedian who's a Christian, has written some books. They're called, the first one is called 10 Second Sermons. And the next one is even more concise. 10-second sermons. They've gone down well. I love them. They're challenging, they're funny. They start to get you thinking in a different way, really challenge your thinking about different subjects. And we're going to use some of his quotes from his books on the church. But let me, first of all, share my screen with you. So we're going to be thinking of the church. I'll just move myself down there so I'm out of the way a bit. But the church in 10 seconds. But before we get to Milton Jones, look, this image, what do you think of it? God saying to Jesus, "What's wrong, Jesus? You said you wanted a church for your birthday." And Jesus replying, "Yeah, I did. But I'm having trouble getting it out of the box." What do you think about that? Give it 10 seconds. Have a think. You see, for me, this pandemic, which is awful and tragic, it has got the church out of its box. For me personally, we moved to a new estate just before lockdown, and because we've been working from home, it means we've talked to more neighbours than we ever would have, because we're at home more. We bump into them, have conversations, we're building relationships, we're getting to know them. Lady over the road's had a baby, Katie down the road's about to have a baby the same day. One of my daughters, Hannah, is going to have hers. So we get to know all these things. We're out of the box. We can spend time in the community. Anyway, here's some Milton Jones quotes. See what you think. And if at any point 10 seconds isn't long enough, you can just pause the video. The church that Jesus started, like it or loathe it, it's God's chosen community for expressing and representing himself in the world today. Wow, if that's true, what does that mean for you? Going to church should be like walking to the edge of the Grand Canyon and saying, "Wow," and I presume it echo all around the place. Is that your experience? Others think of church as a Winnie the Pooh pyjama suit. Safe and warm, but I hope to goodness no one sees them in it. What do you think? Church is a bit like being a member of a gym. Some people like the idea of going but don't. Others go but aren't really training for anything. And some actually use it to help them with the race they're running. Which one are you? Church should be everyone arriving with one piece of the jigsaw. So does that mean you'd be missed if you weren't there? What sort of piece are you? Visitors to church often find themselves thinking, "What am I doing here?" Sometimes so do the members. But isn't that a great question? What am I doing here? When it works, church is like Lego. Accommodating each other's knobbly bits makes us all stick together. 10 seconds. One of the church's biggest battles is to remain an active fighting unit and to resist becoming a battle reenactment society. But what sort of fight are we in? If you're on a journey, in the same way that the services are not the motorway, a church is not the services. Now this is one that really spoke to me. I'm thinking, yeah, at this time when we can't meet in a church for our services, does that mean we're the services where we are? What does it mean? Is the church us where we are? 10 seconds. But whatever the church is, we don't have to do it in our own power. Jesus said to his disciples just before he left earth, Acts 1 verse 8, "But you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, and you will be my witnesses, telling people about me everywhere, in Jerusalem, throughout Judea, in Samaria, and to the ends of the earth. You will be my witnesses, and you will receive power." Is that the same for us today? 10 seconds. You see, church, it's not the place in which we gather, but it's those that do. Whether there's 2 or 2,000. It's those that have become the living stones building the all-inclusive kingdom. It's not the event. It's the people on the mission. In fact, God never even called it church. And those in it, Jesus never even called them Christians. You see, the church is beyond categories and denominations, boundaries and boxes. We are simply followers trying to place our footsteps on the beautiful narrow path together, whatever we're like. People of the way, the ecclesia, the gathering, the community in communion with God, in communion with each other, in communion with the greatest commission to go and make disciples, to live as Jesus would live. The good news distributors, and not for the sake of ourselves, but for the sake of everyone else, whoever they are. You know, yes, we meet, we catalyse, but we don't remain inside the walls. Using earthly gifts for eternal purpose, shaping culture with selfless passion. Yes, flawed and faulty as we are, and yet by grace God rescued us. God sought us, God found us, and we found him. And now we find our purpose with people. And the church is the place for every person. Anyone, anywhere, everywhere. You don't need a membership fee, no invitation, no qualifications. Grace says incredibly that we belong already. Christ showed us what true love is. And now we're called to show it back to him, but to everybody. Listen to these words from Jesus in Matthew 22 verse 34. Hearing that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, the Pharisees got together. One of them, an expert in the law, tested him with this question: "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbour as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commands. Christ showed us what true love is. Now we must show it back to him and to our neighbour, to everyone. With his life, Jesus brought our right to be called children of God, and the church, you and I, are his eternal global family, his body on earth. We are the mirror, called to reflect the Father's heart, to reflect his love, his grace, his mercy, his forgiveness, his joy, his kindness. Jesus says in Matthew 5, we're to be his salt, we're to be his light, we're to be that light on a hill, we're to be generous with our lives. Not selfishly consuming, but forever keeping our eyes on Jesus as we run this race, as described in Hebrews 12. Taking what God has done inside, outside. The world needs this. His church. This is what we are meant to be. The church whose battle cry is love. Everywhere, for anyone and anywhere. That's what the church is, and so much more. I just want to play a song to you. It's a great song. It's called O Church Arise. It is in the Salvation Army songbook. It's 819 if you want to look at it. It was written by Stuart Townsend and Keith Getty. In the first verse there's this line, an army bold whose battle cry is love. But then the final verse says, so Spirit come, put strength in every stride, give grace for every hurdle, that we may run with faith to win the prize of a servant good and faithful. As saints of old still line the way, retelling triumphs of his grace. We hear their calls and hunger for the day when with Christ we stand in glory. Let me share my screen again and let's listen to it together.
Stone is rolled away, and Christ of the servant good and faithful, and saints of old still light the way, retelling triumphs of his praise. We hear the calls and hunger for the day when the Christ we stand in glory.
It's worth taking a look at these other videos. Really love that song. It's a great song. But I'm going to read now from, I'll stop sharing my screen. And I just want to read from Romans 12. So here's what I want you to do, God helping you. Take your everyday, ordinary life, your sleeping, eating, going to work and walking around life, and place it before God as an offering, embracing what God does for you as the best thing you can do for Him. Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit in without even thinking. Instead, fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out. Readily recognize what He wants from you and quickly respond to it. I want to read from verse 9 from the Street Bible by Rob Lacey, unpacking what the church is, because it's you and it's me. We are the church. Love has to be the genuine article. Hate evil, get a grip on what's good and don't let go. Love each other like the best of brothers. Rate other people higher than yourself. Don't lose your attack. Go for it. Keep on going for it. Keep smiling when chewing over what's up ahead. Keep going when it all goes pear-shaped. Keep hanging in there when you're talking to God. Don't get tight-fisted with God's people. Ring people up, whoever they are. Have people around, whoever they are. Take people out. If someone has a go at you, do them good. Always want the best for them, even if they're out to get you. If someone's got something to celebrate, be the life and soul of the party. If someone's had someone die on them, be there with an arm and a fresh tissue. Get on with each other. Don't get cocky. Mix more, especially with people you'd have thought were below you, in your previous life, that is. Don't act like Mr., Mrs., Ms. Know-it-all. You don't have to fight back. If someone does you wrong, rise above it. You don't have to give as good as you get. Do the right thing. If it's down to you, keep the peace. Don't take it into your own hands. Don't take it into your own hands. Leave it in God's. They're bigger. As He says in the manuals, it's my job to dole out the punishment. Instead, if your rival looks a bit peckish, buy her a sandwich. If he's spitting feathers, get him a drink. You see, your generosity will surprise him with goodness. Don't let evil get the best of you. Get the best of evil by doing good. That's being the church. That is being the church. Take another look at this. What's wrong, Jesus? You said you wanted a church for your birthday? Yes, said Jesus, I did. But I'm having trouble getting it out of the box. What does that say to you now? 10 seconds. and a final image. Where the church is where you are, even if here I'm in the way. I'm not anymore. Where the church is where you are. So here's what I want you to do, God helping you. Take your everyday, ordinary life, your sleeping, eating, going to work and walking around life, and place it before God as an offering. Readily recognize what He wants from you and quickly respond to it. Where the church is where you are. Whatever it looks like, whatever it feels like, that's where the church is. So I pray God's blessing on you. I'm going to go. But thank you for listening. God bless you.
What can I give? What can I bring to so faithful?